Welcome, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I should have known something was up when Madison greeted me at the door wearing that sleek black dress, the one that clung to her body like a second skin. It was the kind of dress she only wore for special occasions, the kind that made me momentarily forget everything else in the world. But as far as I knew, there was nothing on our calendar tonight. Just a quiet evening at home. At least that's what I thought. "Welcome home, darling," she murmured, her voice a sultry whisper as she slid her arms around my neck. She pulled me into a slow, deliberate kiss, her lips soft and warm against mine, her scent intoxicating. It was the kind of greeting I used to dream about in the early years of our marriage, when our love was fresh and every touch sent electricity through my veins. Tonight, though, something felt different. It wasn't just the dress or the kiss. It was the way she was looking at me, the way her fingers lingered just a little longer on my skin, as if she were memorizing me. I pulled back slightly, my hand still resting on her waist, my mind working through the sudden change in atmosphere. "What's the occasion? Did I forget an anniversary?" I asked, half joking, though a tiny part of me wondered if I had somehow missed something important. Madison giggled, a sound that once felt like the purest form of joy to me. It was a sound I had fallen in love with, a sound that made even the hardest days feel lighter. "No occasion," she said, dragging her fingers down the front of my shirt, her nails barely grazing the fabric. "I just thought we could have a special night in together." I should have questioned it more. I should have pressed her, studied her expression more closely. But in that moment, all I could see was my wife, the woman I had chosen, the woman I loved with everything in me. She had been my partner, my best friend, my anchor in the chaos of life. I had never doubted her before. Why would I start now? Her hands drifted lower, and despite the small alarms going off in the back of my head, my body responded instantly. Whatever this was, I wasn't about to ruin it by overthinking. A slow smirk tugged at my lips as I scooped her into my arms with practiced ease. She let out a playful squeal, looping her arms around my shoulders. "Lead the way, Mrs. Carter," I murmured, pressing a kiss to her temple. As I carried her towards the bedroom, I felt a deep sense of contentment settle over me. This was my life, our life. A life I had built with a woman I adored. Sure, things hadn't always been perfect. We had our arguments, our differences, but at the end of the day, we had always found our way back to each other. She was my home. As we crossed the threshold into our dimly lit bedroom, my shoes hitting the floor with a careless thud, I let myself believe, just for that moment, that everything was exactly as it should be. That this was just another beautiful night with a woman I had vowed to spend forever with. Little did I know, it was the night my whole world would come crashing down around me. We lay tangled in the sheets, Madison tracing lazy patterns on my chest as our breathing slowed. The night had been intoxicating, a blur of heat and passion, and I was still drunk on the sensation of her skin against mine when she suddenly rolled over, her voice slicing through the silence like a blade. "I want a divorce." At first, I thought I had misheard her. The words didn't make sense, like a foreign language spoken in the dark. My body stiffened as I propped myself up on my elbow, staring at her in disbelief. "What?" She shifted, sitting up, pulling the sheets around her, as if shielding herself from the fallout she knew was coming. Her expression was unreadable, void of the tenderness we had shared just moments ago. "I want a divorce, Zach. This marriage is over. I'm done." The words hit like a wrecking ball, knocking the air from my lungs. My mind reeled, scrambling for an explanation, anything that could make sense of this. We had been together since college. We had built a life, a home, dreams of a future together. Just hours ago, she was in my arms, whispering my name with longing. And now this? But why? My voice cracked, thick with disbelief. What did I do? Madison sighed, a sound that felt more rehearsed than spontaneous. She swung her legs over the bed, reaching for the silk robe draped over the chair. With her back to me, she spoke, her voice disturbingly calm. It's not you, she murmured. It's me. I've outgrown this relationship. Outgrown me? The words cut deeper than I expected. My stomach twisted in knots, but something in her tone made the hair on my arms stand on end. It was too detached, too calculated. There was more to this, something she wasn't saying. Tell me the truth, I demanded, my voice lower, steadier. The real truth. She hesitated, and in that hesitation I knew. I saw it before she even spoke it. The flicker of hesitation, the way her lips parted slightly before curving into something else. A smirk? Was she enjoying this? Fine. Her eyes met mine, and I felt the chill before the words even left her mouth. I've met someone else. The room seemed to shift. The walls closed in, the air thinned, and my pulse pounded so loudly in my ears that I almost didn't hear her next words. Someone who excites me in ways you never could. She turned to face me fully now, her arms crossed over her chest, her smirk deepening. We've been seeing each other for months, and I've decided I want to be with him instead. The betrayal was tangible, wrapping around my throat, squeezing until I could barely breathe. Who? The word barely escaped my lips. Who is he? She let the silence stretch, savoring the moment, and then she dropped the bomb that shattered everything I thought I knew. You could say you know him pretty well. A pause. A cruel pause. It's Dylan. The name slammed into me like a freight train. Dylan. My best friend. My brother in everything but blood. The guy who had been by my side through every high and low. The one I trusted without question. No. My voice was hoarse, disbelief clawing at my throat. Not Dylan. Madison's smirk widened, and suddenly it all made sense. The extra time she had been spending away, the moments of hushed phone calls, the sudden girl nights that never quite added up. But worst of all, the little moments between them that I had ignored. The stolen glances, the inside jokes, the way his hand would linger just a second too long on the small of her back. They had been together, behind my back, laughing, touching, betraying me in the cruelest way possible. You don't get it, do you? She said, almost taunting. Dylan has been there for me in ways you never were. He listens, he understands me. And let's be honest, Zach, you stopped being enough for me a long time ago. Rage and heartbreak collided inside me, threatening to rip me apart. My fists clenched, my nails digging into my palms. How long? I forced out. She tilted her head, as if considering whether I deserved the truth. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of deception. Half a year of sleeping beside me, kissing me, telling me she loved me, while sneaking off to be with him. My chest heaved as I tried to keep myself together, but then she gave me the final, most brutal blow. And you know what's funny? Her voice was almost playful now. The night of that party we threw last month, when you were outside grilling and playing host, we were upstairs, in our bedroom, making out. The words hit like a knife straight to the gut. My bedroom, my sanctuary, the place we had shared countless nights of love, laughter, and whispered promises. And she had defiled it with him while I was downstairs, clueless, being the perfect husband. My body tensed, every muscle tight with rage, but I forced myself to breathe, to stay in control. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. Get out, I said, my voice deadly calm. Get your things and get out of my house before I do something I regret. For the first time, I saw something flicker across her face. Hesitation, maybe even fear. But then, just as quickly, it was gone, replaced by that same infuriating smirk. She turned, grabbing an overnight bag that I hadn't even noticed was already packed. She had planned this. This wasn't a confession. It was an execution. And I was the fool who never saw the knife coming. The days blurred into weeks, an endless cycle of anger, disbelief, and numbness. Madison wasn't just satisfied with leaving me. She was determined to ruin me. At first, it was subtle. A few cold stares when I went to the grocery store, hushed conversations that ended the moment I walked into a room. Then it got worse. I started hearing whispers, ugly, malicious rumors that painted me as the villain of our failed marriage. They said I was controlling, that I manipulated Madison, emotionally tormented her, that I had driven her into Dylan's arms with my neglect, my jealousy, my rage. It was like a script had been carefully written, designed to break me even further. People I had known for years suddenly viewed me with suspicion. My job let me go, citing internal concerns about my personal life affecting the company's reputation. My friends, at least the ones I thought I could count on, slowly started to distance themselves. My family, even my own mother, seemed uncertain of where to stand. Everywhere I turned, the world had already decided that I was the villain in Madison's tragic story. And just when I thought I had lost everything, Jillian appeared. We had grown up together, neighbors as kids, inseparable for years, before life had pulled us in different directions. I hadn't seen her in over a decade, but there she was, standing in my door, a laptop tucked under one arm, eyes filled with something unreadable. "I know what Madison is doing to you online," she said. "I can help you fight back." I hesitated. I wanted to believe she had good intentions, but after everything, trust didn't come easy. "Why would you help me?" I asked, my voice hoarse from weeks of bottled-up rage. She smirked slightly, shaking her head. "Because I hate people who destroy others just to make themselves look better. And because I know Madison. She's lying. You don't deserve this." Desperation won over doubt. "What's your plan?" Jillian's plan was simple but ruthless. Step 1. Gather every scrap of dirt on Madison and Dylan. Step 2. Anonymously expose them online. Step 3. Let the internet take care of the rest. We started with Madison's social media accounts. Jillian was skilled, far more than I ever realized. She traced connections, found deleted posts, and followed financial breadcrumbs that I never would have thought to look for. Within hours, she had proof of Madison's deception. Messages exchanged between her and Dylan, payments for secret getaways, flirtatious comments hidden in places no one would think to check. But that wasn't enough. We needed more. We needed something undeniable. I planted bait. I knew Madison well enough to predict her habits. One night, I sent her a carefully worded text, pretending to be regretful, saying I wanted to talk. Predictably, she ignored it. But hours later, Jillian tracked her location. She was at a hotel. With Dylan. Jillian had anticipated this. Earlier that day, she had set up a fake profile, posing as an anonymous tipster. She sent a message to a popular local gossip page, hinting that Madison and Dylan were meeting in secret. Curious, the page's owner bit the bait and decided to investigate. The next morning, the internet exploded. Screenshots flooded every platform. Hashtags trended, and reaction videos dissected every detail. Overnight, the entire narrative flipped. Madison was no longer the poor, heartbroken fiancé left at the altar. She was the villain, a liar, a cheater, a woman who had orchestrated an elaborate facade while betraying the very person who had loved her the most. The public's sympathy turned to scorn. The same people who had once sent me hate messages were now apologizing, some even begging for my forgiveness. Dylan, once the golden boy of sports journalism, watched his career go up in flames. Sponsors pulled their deals. TV networks distanced themselves. He issued a weak, half-hearted statement, but no one was buying it. Madison, on the other hand, became a pariah, Brands that had partnered with her severed ties. Friends abandoned her. The world that had once celebrated her engagement to me was now tearing her apart. And Madison? She went silent. The woman who had so eagerly spread lies about me had nothing to say now that the truth was out. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than anger and despair. I felt vindicated, but something unexpected was happening. Through the late nights spent strategizing with Jillian, through the shared frustration and victories, something shifted between us. The girl who had once been the quiet, observant outsider had become my fiercest ally. She wasn't just helping me out of duty, she was fighting for me. She had stood by me when the world had turned its back, and that meant something. At first, it was subtle. The way she glanced at me when she thought I wasn't looking. The way her laughter, once rare, became more frequent around me. The way she knew exactly what to say when I felt like the weight of it all was too much. One night, after another exhausting day of media backlash against Madison and Dylan, we found ourselves sitting on my balcony, staring at the city lights. There was a comfortable silence between us, the kind that doesn't need to be filled with words. "You okay?" she finally asked, her voice soft. I exhaled. "Yeah, just processing." She nodded, taking a sip of her drink. "You deserve this, you know. The truth coming out. You deserve to move on." I turned to her, studying her face. For the first time in a long time, I saw something real in someone's eyes, something untainted by deceit. Something warm, something safe. Madison had tried to destroy me. Instead, she had led me to something far greater. Revenge was sweet, but maybe, just maybe, something even sweeter had come out of it all. And that's when I felt it. A pull. A dangerous, undeniable pull toward Jillian. She must have felt it too, because she looked away quickly, her fingers tightening around her glass. I could have kissed her. I could have leaned in, closed the space between us, let myself fall. But I didn't, because I couldn't. Love wasn't safe. Love was a weapon, and I'd already been cut too deep. Madison had shattered something inside me, something I wasn't sure could ever be put back together. I had given my heart away once, only to have it trampled on like it meant nothing. I wasn't stupid enough to make that mistake again. Jillian was different. I knew that. She wasn't Madison. She wasn't deceitful, manipulative, or cruel. But that didn't change the fact that I couldn't trust myself to love again. Not now. Maybe not ever. I turned away from her, gripping the balcony railing. "You're a good friend, Jillian." She hesitated. Then she nodded, a small, almost sad smile on her lips. "Yeah, and I always will be." And that was how it had to stay. I wasn't ready to relive the kind of pain Madison had inflicted. I wasn't ready to let my guard down, to believe in love again, only to be blindsided. Women weren't trustworthy, not in the way I had once believed. So I made a decision. No more love, no more commitment. I had played the role of the devoted, faithful man, and where had that gotten me? A broken heart, public humiliation, and years wasted on someone who never truly loved me. No, I'd rather enjoy life now. No strings, no attachments. If Madison had taught me anything, it was that love was a game, and I was done playing to lose. Jillian was a good person, a rare one, and if I let myself fall for her, I would only end up hurting her, or worse, she would end up hurting me. And I couldn't survive that again. So I made sure to keep my distance, to remind myself that some things were better left untouched, even if a small, stubborn part of me wasn't so sure. If you enjoyed this journey and want more gripping tales like this, make sure to subscribe, because you wouldn't want to miss out on the next story.